Welcome back to the Celestial Invitational. I'm D2. With me is Caldi, and looks like we have a change up for the Chinese casters there. Magic Quinn in the middle, leading it off for them for the Chinese stream. And next for you guys, we have Eloise versus Lifecoach. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this matchup for a while. Hopefully not too long, especially since we've had all three zeros thus far in our three matches. And obviously Jay Shaw taking out the 2014 World Champion Firebat 3-0 in that last match. Very surprising, pretty cool upset to see. And obviously Tom and Clento obviously advancing in the earlier matches. Now we have Eloise on the screen and we see her decks, and it's going to be a secret paladin followed by an aggressive mech shaman. Well, maybe not so many mechs there, just a couple.
I guess yeah, it's kind of the non-mech version, but there's a few of them in there. This is the version that basically has no bad top decks, where the other one has no bad starts.
Right.
And then we have the Aggro Hunter as the third deck, so a very aggressive lineup here right off the bat. Definitely all three decks synergizing, but that may be bad in Conquest potentially if you face something like what Thais has been bringing or what Jaysha has been bringing. But at least she has the I guess the Shaman out of the way early on. But then we have Lifecoach from Gamers 2. The Poker player's been dominating, and he has an anti-aggro lineup.
Ooh.
Oof.
Right.
Control
Yeah.
Warrior, Dragon Warrior, Dragon
Priest.
Priest, and the what looks to be a mid-range Paladin. I'll talk about the mid-range Paladin a bit. We have the MC Tech, Kel'Thuzad, Sky Golem, Reno Jackson. So this is the Reno Jackson version of the mid-range Shaman. But I mean, there's so many good Paladin cards that you can actually fit 30 of them in a deck and still have it perform really well. So interesting to see the how the Paladin fares, but I think this is looking really good for Lifecoach just based on the lineup here.
Yeah, exactly. Has three decks that are able to take out aggro pretty easily if given the right draw. One thing to keep in mind is that on the day that he was in the group stages, Lifecoach kind of struggled with his Paladin, wasn't able to deal with Secret Paladin the way that Monk and I thought when we were casting that. And basically, Lifecoach is the only player in the final 8 to advance with the score of 1 win and 2 losses. So Lifecoach actually had a worse overall score than some of the players who didn't make it to the final 8. As obviously we saw some 2-1 three-way ties like in the Group D, for instance. So going to be interesting to see if Lifecoach can bring it together and be able to pilot all 9 decks. He is someone who notoriously plays a very select few decks, that being the Paladin, the Warrior, Handlock, and the occasional Tempo or the Mech Mage here and there. So going to be interesting to see if Lifecoach can kind of put it together, play all these decks very successfully, and take out Eloise. Obviously, Eloise, on the other hand, wanting to have these aggressive decks, buck the trend and be able to take out these kind of more controlled lineups.
Absolutely here. I mean, if we look at the Lifecoach's performance, he was the 13th out of the 16 players here. Not only 12th out of the 16 players, but still made top 8 because of the three-way tie there against Blue and Zoro. So barely made the top 8, but he's looking good to beat Eloise. It's obviously very hard to call this early though, and I mean, the Paladin, for example, for Eloise will do very well, I feel, against Lifecoach's lineup, but it is a bit of an inconsistent deck, so there's the potential for the Paladin to destroy a lot of secrets early and fall apart here. But yeah, I mean, the Shaman though, it doesn't have Finley Murgleton. You had to keep the same decks again, but the Shaman still, it can pull off upsets big time, and I feel, if Lifecoach, for example, doesn't draw a good start with the Paladin, I think the Paladin can definitely have a bad start. I feel like the Warrior without the Fiery War Axe can learn into a lot of trouble. So, I mean, there is definitely the potential for Eloise to just run away with this early, but I feel like this is going to be another very quick match, as the aggro deck from Eloise won't take long to play.
Yeah, exactly. Even if this goes the full 5 games, I feel like this match is going to go by quickly as far as, the time is concerned. Lifecoach, just looking at his lineup, the Control Warrior seems to have a pretty decent matchup against everything that Eloise has to offer, so I don't see that having too much trouble. And the Priest can run into some problems if it doesn't draw those dragons, But the one deck I am looking at from Lifecoach is that Reno Paladin. So that could be his weak point here and could lead to his downfall potentially in the round of 8. Eloise, I think that her Secret Paladin, I mean, it's one of the strongest decks right now, but going to be an open question whether or not her Hunter and Shaman can make it through. Going to be starting off with that Shaman against the Warrior, and this is one of those situations where obviously Warrior is very good at, bouncing back. They can go to a very low life total and just use things like Shield Block, Shield Maiden, and things like Bash to be able to get out of the danger zone. But we will see if Eloise can kind of get enough damage in before Lifecoach can recover using the Whirling Zap-O-Matic in her hand at the moment.
We've been seeing a lot of players now actually adding a card that you haven't seen for some time now, and that's a Stormforged Axe. 3 mana, because there's 2 mana and 1 overload here for a 2/1 weapon. It's not the worst. I mean, we have the Coghammer that's just almost straight up better than the Stormforged Axe, but it does buff the Trog.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have Lifecoach doing his best Rope Coach impression, going to be taking his time, even on turn 1 right here, and just thinking through every single possible scenario that could come up. He famously, played Patron Warrior against Trump's Handlock in a tournament a while back, and he roped turn 1, roped turn 2, and then won the game on turn, I think it was either 5 or 6, just because he had planned out every single option going forth in that game, and it's pretty famous because of Trump being pretty exasperated right at the beginning there. Hopefully Eloise doesn't get too frazzled here. And Lifecoach just roping turn 1, just like his nickname suggests, just thinking through every single option here. As far as Eloise, do you think she goes for the coin Whirling Zap-O-Matic or she goes for the Leper Gnome? We can see right now that Lifecoach doesn't have an answer for the Whirling Zap-O-Matic, but he does for the Leper Gnome. So going for Leper Gnome on turn 1 could be disastrous for her here.
I think Leper Gnome is the correct play. As generally people run 2 Fiery Warrocks but only 1 Taskmaster.
Right.
It's also a bit all-in because you can save the coin if you go for the Leper Gnome, but you obviously throw away the coin if you're going for the Whirling Zap-O-Matic. You have to play it a bit Zoo style. You also have the ancestral knowledge, exactly, the ancestral knowledge here. So I feel like Leper Gnome is the correct play, but it's going to work out worse. But I feel like, Lifecoach was very confused, and I don't know if he roped on purpose, actually, or he just, disconnected or what was going on, but he looked extremely worried.
Maybe he switched his client to the Chinese format, or to the Chinese, and got a little bit confused about what he was playing. But anyway, it looks like he's looking a bit better now. Now Eloise is the one to rope here, and yes, she's gonna go for the Whirling Zap-O-Matic. Have just so much courage to put that out there, and just daring Lifecoach to have that Fiery War-X. If he doesn't have the Fiery War-X, it ends up working out beautifully for her.
I mean, sometimes, for example, against the mini-bot, you could just attack it with the cool Taskmaster and take the 4 damage and then trade into the mini-bot, But this is not a scenario where you can go for something like that.
Exactly.
Rolling Zap-O-Matic will just mess you up. 10 damage, we could be looking at 16 damage if that happens with the potential Rock Biter. But Lifecoach has to figure that this is going to be Hero Power Pass.
Yeah, most likely going to be the case. And obviously it's nice to go conservative and go for the the play that doesn't mess up your curve in the future, going for the Leper Gnome first into the Whirling Zap-O-Matic. But I just like taking a chance here because this is not a very favored matchup. Sometimes you have to just say, well, if you have the Fire War-X, I lose, and if you don't, maybe I have a chance here. In the case Eloise does have another option here. She can go for that Stormforged Axe to set up for future turns, or she can go for the super damage play, which would be the Rock Biter and the Leper Gnome. And obviously you can use Rock Biter for the future to take out something like an Acolyte of Pain, but I think I want to be favoring getting in that extra 6 damage here, just put Lifecoach as low as possible, and she agrees, going to go for heavy damage, going to put 12 damage to the face of Lifecoach and bring him down a significant chunk. Also going to play that Leper Gnome, and the pressure is on Lifecoach.
Yeah, no question. I mean, he can Taskmaster the Leper Gnome, but then that leaves Eloise with a great answer in the Stormforged Axe and 6 more damage. We're looking at, so that would take Lifecoach down to 18. He would take 6 more going down to 12.
Yeah, I think he
If we
might
would
just
see the
go
turn,
for the
yeah.
shield slam here. Now that he's picked that up here.
Yeah, I mean, it would be correct. It would turn out what much better for him, but I'm not sure if it's necessarily the right play. But this is just rough for life coach. I think he will eventually go with the shield slam, but still, if he goes for the taskmaster, he may just be dead here. He's taking, yeah, he's going down to
Mm.
12. He also then Eloise also has the weapon, but what can Eloise do now though?
Yeah, Eloise is probably a bit sad to see her Whirling Zapamata go down. Is able to pick up that Totem Golem, which is, continued pressure on the Life Coach, though he does have one of the better answers that you can have for it in that Despite. So, looks like Life Coach is stabilizing just a bit here.
That is true. There's also the potential for Fiery Winax plus Taskmaster, but I think yeah, that is just the obvious choice here. I think Life Coach has to agree with me in the end. But from there on, though, Life Coach is at 15 health, but Eloise has no follow-up whatsoever. A top tech sweater or something along the lines of that could save her here in this game. I think this is actually maybe looking better now for Life Coach than Eloise, even though Life Coach is probably going to go down to what is it, 13 health even. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, this is just the strength of, Control Warrior. So many cards in this deck just gets him back into the game with that armor. If this were something like Priest, perhaps, Eloise would have a chance to finish out the game despite the hero power, but, Eloise being overloaded here, even if she drew the Shredder, wouldn't be able to play that only on 3 mana, and now has a decision to make. Every single card in her hand overloads her, and she really wants to play that Azure Drake next turn, so we could see a Totem Pass, and that would be great news for Life Coach. Obviously, he wants to just get back in this game, stop taking all that damage, and just go forward to the just looking forward to be playing that Shield Maiden on turn 6.
yeah, I mean, she may have to just start going all out here. I mean, this means that she can't
Ooh,
play the Azure Drake
yeah.
on top of that. So
Wow, and there's the Justicar. So if Life Coach can stabilize, it basically is game for him. There's really no way for Eloise to finish out the game if Justicar gets in motion and starts allowing Life Coach to tank up. So these next few turns are going to be absolutely crucial. Maybe Eloise realizing that, I can get 6 damage off this Stormforge axe, I can draw some cards off this Ancestral Knowledge, don't necessarily need that Azure deck, especially because it might just die to the Deathbite. So Eloise going for a bit more aggressive approach here, and Life Coach, as long as he can hold on, he will win this game, but it's an open question whether he can do that right now.
the thing is, though, yeah, the deck that Eloise is playing, the variant of Aggro Shaman, has no bad top decks, whereas the other one has no bad stats, and that means it's going to be stronger in the late game. There's going to be the Lava Burst, there is the Doomhammer, so if Eloise can put enough pressure, the Life Coach is forced to go for the Shield Maiden. She may even be able to power through here. What
Oh,
do you think about Hero Power
wow.
versus Taskmaster here, though? Go for the
Yeah, I
Taskmaster.
was thinking about the same thing, but Life Coach apparently no fear, just going to go with the Taskmaster and the Acolyte, favoring the potential draws in the future, and that's not a good draw for Eloise. It's hard to see her ever getting board control again in this game, so that Flame Tongue Totem is most likely dead. Gonna go for the Ancestral Knowledge, picks up a Blood Mage Downloads for future draws, also, or potentially even spell damage if she wants to go that route. Also has a Tunnel Trog, but that's not going to do much damage. Maybe, I mean, she could even decide to go for a bit of a Smorky Dennis play here with the Tunnel Trog and Lightning Bolt the face, just to make sure that, Life Coach has to, or, has to either take the extra 2 damage with this face or, start taking out this Cruel Taskmaster on board. But, yeah, definitely difficult decision for Eloise. How does she handle this? And, whatever she does, I imagine Life Coach going to be playing that Shield Maiden next turn.
I actually want to go ahead and say that the playing the Trog is actually the more passive approach. I feel like
Right,
giving him another draw is going to just be worse straight up. I feel like I would want to look at is maybe Thalmos here
right.
and turn. Because you can go for the Lightning Bolt with the spell damage next turn, and the Trog doesn't help you or
Oh.
the weapon.
Yeah, Eloise doesn't even want to play a totem here, afraid of getting the 1/4, which would allow Life Coach to draw a card off of it and potentially draw even more, ways to heal or ways to get some armor. Eloise just wants to deny the card draw from Life Coach, wants to prevent Life Coach from getting any sort of, bashes or shield blocks or something like that. But Lifecoach all too happy, just play this Shield Maiden and wait it out. He does have the Justicar for future turns, but can't really utilize that until turn 8 because otherwise he'd be foregoing a hero power.
Yeah, I mean, Doctor 3, you really have to get a board rolling here, and I kind of feel bad for Eloise. Everything seems to be going wrong. I don't know what she can do from here. At 14, with Justicar coming down next turn, is there anything that she can do? I mean, Lifecoach seems to have stabilized here, and when Warrior, stabilizes one, she generally just doesn't let go.
Yeah, absolutely. Right back up at 14 health. Eloise doesn't have too much damage in hand. The most she could go for here is obviously going for the Thalanos and the Lightning Bolt to face, and that would only be 6 damage. And from there, Lifecoach could just keep on hero powering. Lifecoach definitely wants to pick up that Doom Hammer to get sustained damage, but we know she's already used 1 Rock Biter, so most of the stuff that Lifecoach is worried about right now is kind of out of the way. Eloise in particular doesn't. Oh, there's a spell damage totem, to be fair, but yeah, she doesn't have the super burst that typically the shaman runs with the lava burst and the crackle here. Just gonna utilize that spell damage totem right away and lightning bolt to the face, but definitely on the back foot is Eloise as Lifecoach picks up another Shield Maiden. So I imagine Lifecoach is going to probably utilize his Death Bite right here because he's going to have enough minions in the future to be able to just minion combat his way out of trouble on the board. So yeah, I imagine he's gonna use his Death Bite either on the face or onto this Wrath of Air totem, and then from there, maybe if he picks up a shield block, go with that, or if not, just go for this Shield Maiden. I doubt he's gonna look to play this Dr. Boom here because that would be a little bit too risky. But yeah, going forward, Lifecoach, unless Eloise can pick up a lot of damage, Lifecoach here can just go Shield Maiden into Justicar and tank up next turn.
Yeah, the Shield Maiden was about as perfect as it gets. It allows him to basically go for 3 Shield Maidens in a row here, as you can kind of almost count a turn 8 Justicar as a Shield Maiden. He heal for 5, and heal for 4. And Eloise just isn't able to keep up. She doesn't have a single point of damage here in her hand, and yeah, this just is so rough. Everything working out here for Lifecoach. He didn't get the Fiery War Axe initially, but everything else is just gone his way.
Yeah, absolutely. Lifecoach with a very interesting expression there. I wonder what he's thinking about at the moment. It seems pretty straightforward what happened last turn, but in any case, Eloise is able to pick up that Crackle. Looks like she realizes she needs more damage than this, so gonna go ahead and play the Azure Drake. Also gonna play out the Tunnel Trog. Obviously not needing the damage, or knowing she's not going to get the damage from the Tunnel Trog to the face, but just wants to slow down Lifecoach as much as possible and give Eloise as many draws as she can, or give herself as many draws as she can to be able to draw that damage and eventually kill Lifecoach. But again, looking pretty bad for her at this moment.
I think what Lifecoach may have been considering was, could he have played this more aggressively instead of for lethal next turn, and was that maybe the more defensive play to guarantee lethal here? But is he going to hero power up? Okay, looks like he is. He just doesn't want to let go of this game. There's no reason for him to be in a rush then. Maybe he feels that's the case.
He even has lethal on the board here, so yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. With that Grommass on top of it. And Eloise does end up forfeiting here in game number 1. Lifecoach going up here 1-0 and actually gets a pack on top of that. So maybe that's that. I think it may have been the Observer getting the Observer quest.
Oh, right.
Stay a while in this.
Observing the right player there, getting the pack. In the case, Lifecoach does go up 1-0, but that was the deck that we were expecting to have the easiest time to pick up a win here. And, we could see Eloise come back. However, we've been saying that all day, right? No one has come back today. It's been all 3 zeros. So it's going to be interesting to see if Eloise can, in fact, avoid the 3-0 sweep that has befallen Firebat, Brawrose, and Dog thus far. But, Lifecoach, again, the biggest weakness in his deck is the Paladin. And we're going to have to see how that works out in these matchups here.
Question about that, it'll just depend on what Lifecoach is going to go for next. Is he going to be bringing out that Priest? Is he going to be going for the Reno Paladin? I personally am really excited to see the Reno Paladin, but we have to keep in mind though that Lifecoach's 9-deck lineup didn't work out too well in initial group stage. He did end up losing 2 of his matches, so there may be some weak points generally here for him. Maybe not now, but possibly later. If we look at just the scenario last time, though, the only match that he did win in the initial group stage was with Warrior Priest Paladin.
Right,
So
right, right.
this may be what he was looking at doing, just going for the exact same idea there. But that meant that he loses in the second match. We'll have to see. Lifecoach here with a rough hand. I mean, I think the Coghammer is decent, but he definitely wants the Zombie Chow. This is the problem, though. He had such a top-heavy curve with that Paladin Sky Golem, for example, Dr. Boom, Kel'Thuzad, for example, and Paladin. So he keeps the Coghammer. That's generally not something you want to have happen. Cairn and Tyrion is not gonna cut it. I mean, yeah. Oof.
Yeah, absolutely. Life Coach loving his control paladin, and obviously Reno giving him kind of an excuse to be able to play it. Like he said, loves the Paladin Sky Golem, just puts that in so many of his decks, and also likes to play Kel'Thuzad as well. So we are seeing that in his deck for this match, but could be trouble for him in that situation. One thing to consider is that when he played this lineup, he played against Blue, and there were a few misplays by Blue to allow Life Coach to take that victory there. So yeah, it could be a bit of trouble for him going against a bit more experienced player in Eloise.
That is true here, and the Silly Mini bot is exactly what he needed. But Eloise does have 2 totem golems and a much stronger hand than last game, even though her hand was pretty decent. The weapon, also the Stormforged Axe, may end up being critical here. I wonder what Eloise is going for the turn after. I mean, Lifecoach can fully clear though with the Coghammer. This is the
Right.
swing that he needed. He is way, way ahead after things looking really rough in the initial start. He just got exactly
Wow.
what he needed in the Paladin Sweater as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that cog hammer isn't very effective. You don't have anything to use it on, as we see a big smile on Life Coach's face. But yeah, without that shielded mini bot, if he had drawn a blank, he would have been hero powering, and from there, obviously the hero power plus cog hammer cannot take out the totem golem there, and then would be a bit behind in tempo. As it stands, Eloise gets to play out this feral spirit, but she's only going to be having 2 mana the following turn, so going to be pretty weak turn for her next turn, possibly that totem golem. But Life Coach definitely taking the initiative right now.
Yeah, is the equality actually worth it? It will keep him with a 1/1 and a 2/2 plus the weapon
Ooh,
still. I feel
right.
like I kind of like just going for the Paladin Sweater here.
Yeah, I
Personally.
mean the obvious play is that pile to cheddar, but the quality does get quite a bit of work done, and particularly because Eloise only has 2 mana next turn. Imagine if Life Coach, obviously we see that she has the totem goal in hand, but from Life Coach's perspective, what if he does this and then Eloise just totems next turn? He would be in a commanding position. Not to mention that he doesn't have a 5-drop, so I mean, the piloted shredder would be pretty good on the following turn in lieu of that. The other thing to consider as well is that, I mean, equality doesn't work very well against the minions that Eloise has. Typically, it hurts his own minions more than it does his opponents. So I think that was part of the calculus in going for that play, because he wanted to make use of it before it becomes a dead card.
Yeah, the brilliance is absolutely here for Lifecoach. If he top decks something like a 3-drop, 4-drop, or 5-drop, it'd be strictly better to go for the Paladin Sweater. But if he top decks something bad like the Paladin Sky Golem here, it's much better to have gone for the Cold last turn. So Lifecoach definitely getting the better end of the stick. I mean, it wouldn't have been bad to get a 5-drop here to be able to play instead of the Sweater, but considering how he was drawing, maybe he's figuring his curve is so inconsistent that he just wants to go for some value instead of potentially hero powering stuff. But okay, what we could be looking at from Eloise here, Tuskar Totemic seems iffy as the totem will just die. I mean, then we
Yeah.
have the totem golem, which will probably also fall. Leopardom doesn't seem. I mean, Leopardom, Tusker Totemic would just fall, I think, here.
Yeah,
It may be the best option.
everything looks so bad here. Do you just hope that you get the 1 in 8 totem golem off the Tuskar Totemic? That could be the best play, but looks like she's not going to take that chance. Going to go for the Whirling Zapomatic and Tuskar Totemic. The one benefit of this is that it forces Life Coach to at least take the 3 damage from the Whirling Zapomatic because he needs to get rid of that.
Also, he has the Tuskar himself and is not able to heal on top of it. He wins the joust. I mean,
He
but the
almost
thing is,
certainly wins the joust too, right? I mean, how much you're really competing against like one Azure Drake and that's it.
the thing
So
is though, all of his or most of his high cost minions are in his hand right now, so he may potentially get unlucky. I mean, six drop, 6 drop, 8 drop, 6 drop, 5 drop. So it's not
I'm
guaranteed as it would be if there was just an average hand in Life Coach's hand
all
here.
right.
But
Let's put it on the line. I'm calling the Kel'Thuzad when he plays the turtle.
I'm calling the zombie chow.
That would be absolutely devastating. For Eloise, she does get the Vitality Totem, which is no real help to her. I mean, if Life Coach is beating her down, then she's pretty much lost the game already. So not what she wanted to see whatsoever. And I'm going to leave this Tuskar Totemic pretty vulnerable. Let's see what she follows up with. Could be that Leopardome. And yeah, at the moment, Life Coach has only 1 minion to work with here to do that minion-to-minion combat. So we could see that Leopardome getting some damage in. And yeah, with the pick up the Big Game Hunter, most likely that's going to be the case.
I want to go ahead and say that the Vitality Submission is probably the worst totem of
Oh,
any.
loses it to the Azure Drake. That is the biggest card in Eloise's deck. There's a bit of luck for her. I mean, obviously this game has not worked out at all, but at least that one joust went right for her. And she
And
picks
the
up the Doomhammer.
Doomhammer. This is just blown wide open here for
Wow.
Eloise. That's
So,
what is it? That's 10 damage here, and this is a crackle plus a lightning bolt. I mean, still need to top deck something like an earth shock, but
ooh.
this is looking doable now.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
mean,
all of a sudden, between the win on the joust on the side of Eloise and now this Doomhammer looking to be in a pretty good spot. Obviously, this Tyrion is something to contend with, but it's still a possibility here if she can maybe pick up something to deal with this.
yeah, it would need to be the earth shock, but I mean, also, does the life coach kill the vitality totem or go face with the sky golem? I'm actually interested to see what his idea on it will be. I think he
Yeah,
may need to clear both totems here.
he's gonna take damage on per. No, he's gonna go face. Okay, so he's just gonna leave that flame tongue totem there, realizing there's not too many chargers. As she picks up the rock biter weapon, that's it's pretty awkward against the Tyrion, but it could come in handy in the near future.
Actually, he could have lethal here, right here.
Right?
He
Yeah,
lightning bolts, he
if she
lightning
gets a
bolts the
six
Tyrion.
tackle, yeah,
He lightning bolts the Tyrion, and if he gets exactly a 6 or spell damage totem,
gets
and
spell
he gets the
damage.
spell damage totem. Oh
She
my
has a
god,
50-50 lethal right now if she wants to go for it.
she has to go for it. There's no other option. She has to pick it. It might be lay on hands or heal bot or Jackson even. I mean, can she be expecting new injection? Maybe if she actually looked up what Life Coach was playing, but yeah, you kind of have to go for this right now.
Does she go for it though? This is so risky, but you have to take a risk in this situation. Look at this board. You're so far behind. This is your one potential opportunity. She's gonna crackle the face actually, which I guess. Oh, she gets the very lowest draw possible. Gonna go with the lightning bolt as well. Was there lethal here with the way she did it?
No, there wasn't, but yeah, I mean, she yeah, I think she's definitely should have gone for the potential lethal, even though because he doesn't have a follow up, and if the taunt is gone, I mean, I
She
don't know.
needs to find some sort of direct damage in the next turn. I don't think she can get by with just this rock biter alone.
Hmm.
And Life Coach has a way to deal with this board and prevent the Tyrion from, or prevent the Divine Shield from coming off of Tyrion here as well. This is a very difficult turn for Life Coach as well. Obviously, no healing, and just needs to stay alive, but also needs to kill Eloise as fast as possible. Doesn't want to give her too many turns to be able to draw into it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe looking at something like potentially I don't even know. He's looking for the medic, the 1/8, potentially. I mean, I don't even know here. Goes for Sylvanas. Okay, okay. So Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Lightning Bolt, Crackle, Ancestral Spirit potentially, or Knowledge potentially. Rock Biter
Rockbiter
doesn't do.
is not it. She can smack that Tyrion and kill it, but that's going to be it. Life Coach is
Wait, wait,
going to.
it's lethal.
Is
It's
it?
lethal. Yeah, she attacks once with the Doomhammer, 2 Rock Biters on the Flame Tongue, and then hits face.
Oh,
Does
wait,
she see it though? Oh my god.
wait,
That's lethal, yeah. It's complicated, but it's lethal.
wait. Explain that again. I'm having a.
Okay, once to the face with the Doomhammer, once to the Tyrion with the Doomhammer, 2 Rock Biters on the Flame Tongue, and
Oh,
then once.
right. Yeah, yeah. She's got it. She's got it. You are right. So there it is. She, yeah, 2 rock biters on the Flankdom totem, gonna kill a Tyrion, and now she can hit the face. Wow, very well spotted by her, and she's going to take this game. That is ridiculous.
She won the joust. I think that was the highlight of this game. I mean, oof.
That was absolutely insane. I can't believe she took that game. So many things had to go right for her, and so many things had to go wrong for Life Coach. But that's kind of the nature of how the decks work. You know, the Shaman's just so consistent and able to draw that damage, whereas the Paladin, like we mentioned before, just so inconsistent and can't always draw the healing that it needs.
Not at all, yeah. I mean, will the Reno Paladin be what has to happen here? But it's possible, but oof. The Shaman is out of the way though for Eloise, so she has Secret Paladin, which we were talking about being the easy win here, and then the Face Hunter. I mean, Face Hunter could absolutely take a win against this Paladin. If Life Coach doesn't draw well, there's so many 6, 7, 8 drops in Life Coach's deck, so on a bad hand, everything just fall apart.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, the previous turn when she had the Crackle and the Lightning Bolt, because Life Coach was at 10, the rolling a 6 on the Crackle would have just been lethal on the face there as well. So didn't have to go through Tyrion in that instance. So just decided to go the face. Didn't want to take that risk. So that would have been lethal as well. So she did not make any mistakes there as far as taking a chance to go for lethal. Just rolled low on the Crackle, which was definitely unfortunate for her, but fortunate for her to get the Rockbiter in the end to be able to take that win down. Now she has 2 decks left, obviously being the Secret Paladin and the Face Hunter. A little bit of hybrid in there with those 2 Pile Shredders, but yeah, mostly going to be very, very aggressive, and obviously Life Coach with the, I believe it was Dragon Priest, and obviously the Reno Paladin left.
It was indeed here, yeah. I mean, Dragon Priest is strong against the Secret Paladin, but I feel like Secret Paladin probably has the upper hand on the Reno Paladin.
Yeah, absolutely. Just Secret Paladin's so consistent in being able to get his draws out there, and in particular the Reno Paladin filled with so many minions. You can't put too many answers in the deck, obviously, because you only put one of each of those inside the deck. So I mean, you're probably going to see a similar situation as we just saw with a bunch of, heavy creatures in hand that can't really deal with the huge amount of tempo gained by, you know, just having all those crazy secrets on the board and everything just building up, and the Avenge so hard to deal with on the right minions. So we will see if that's the matchup we see. Nope, it's going to be the Dragon Priest from Lifecoach. Not a deck that he plays too much. Obviously, he pretty much copied this deck directly from his teammate Tice. Going to be the version with Bran Bronzebeard in it instead of the Zombie Chow, I believe. But looks like we're going to have to wait to see Eloise's... Oh, it looks like she is playing Paladin. So, yeah, going to be the Secret Paladin versus the Dragon Priest. And
Yeah, it seems like the top observer is lagging out here, sadly. But to talk a bit about this matchup, it is favored for the Priest. Now, the key cards are definitely the Worm Crest, definitely the Zombie Chow, and the Light Bomb. Because the idea is, as soon as the Doctor 6 hits the board, you just attack in and Light Bomb. The Shadow of Death is also critical, but I don't think you keep it. You only keep Valence if you have a 1-drop in hand. And Life Coach obviously is on top of that and throws the Valence away. But I actually have to say that I prefer the Dark Cultist version over the Brown version. I've been playing a ton of Dragon Priest myself, and it's just not as consistent. You want to be playing your 3 drops on turn 3, and if you're playing Brown on turn 3, it's just going to be say weaker than the Dark Cultist.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty big draw here from Lifecoach, however. Getting that Zombie Chow. Obviously, no dragons in hand, so unable to activate, quote-unquote, that Wormus agent on the following turn. Eloise with a secret on turn 1. We cannot see her hand, obviously, so don't know what that secret is quite yet. Does play Shield Mini Ball on turn 2, which is one of the best 2-drops in the game. We'll see how Lifecoach deals with this. Obviously, doesn't have a dragon yet, even after, or obviously after drawing that Holy Nova. So, do you go for the unbuffed Wormus agent? Do you attack in and heal your Zombie Chow? Or do you forego, or do you give up the coin here to go for the Dark Cultist?
I personally like the Cultist, but I wouldn't mind the heal. I think I was looking at if this was Noble Sacrifice, he'd heal. If not, he'd go for the Dark Cultist. I think looking at the Worm Quest, okay. I mean, it's good versus. I can only think about being good against Muster, but I don't
Right.
know.
Alright, we see that the Avenge is playable in Eloise's hand, so the secret up right now isn't Avenge. Did you see if the mini-bot came from the middle of her hand or the right side? If it came from the middle, it likely is going to be Redemption, because that would be a
I think
pretty...
it is Redemption now or Sacred Trials, and I think Sacred Trials is very, very unlikely. We've seen him attack, so it's not Eye for an Eye. We've seen him drop minions, not Repentance. We've seen the mini boss have a turn, so it's not going to be
competitive spirit.
a competitive spirit. Yeah, so it has to be Redemption here.
Right, right, right. Okay, so it's going to be that Redemption, and that means Lifecoach has to get through it now that there's a taunt on it, and Eloise curving out pretty nicely there, but there is the Light Bomb, so if Lifecoach ever gets too far behind, he can use that as a last resort. Going to play out this Dark Cultist, obviously knows that it's not going to be the Repentance, although that wouldn't be the worst minion to get Repentant, because, obviously buffs up the other minions on the board, but... from
Consecrate
Eloise...
here is going to be really strong. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can
Hmm.
kill both the minions, you avoid the death rattle, and but still, Eloise isn't putting on any damage on Life Coach, and she's taking some damage herself. She wants to be putting down the Shredder and going face next to him, but she has to play defensive. It looks to be.
Yeah, I mean, could you even go for the Shredder here? If you go for the Shredder, do you kill the Dark Cultist or do you kill the Wormus agent? It's, an open question, obviously. Both, I mean, if you kill the Dark Cultist, that 1/7 would be pretty annoying going forward. Killing the Wormus agent, though, you leave so much power on the board from that Dark Cultist. So, yeah, pretty difficult. Obviously, Life Coach thinking about it as well. Doesn't want to leave this, potentially leave this shield on. This does allow Eloise to get a bit of damage even if she does go for the Consecrate. So again, pretty difficult turn for her. And looks like she is going to go for the Consecrate.
Thing to keep in mind is there's no dragon still, so but and also Life Coach can't even steal the Cabal. So if he goes for nothing here, he may be in trouble. But he top decks the dragon.
Wow. Well, I mean, even if he gets rid of this, it is going to come back as a 2/1 with Divine Shield. So it's not I mean, it's pretty big deal, but not game ending here whatsoever. Obviously, having that board control so early for the Dragon Priest would be nice, but not going to gain it quite yet. And Eloise does pick up the Blessing of Kings. Do you go for that here, knowing that it could get Shadow Word Deathed?
I don't think so, actually. I think you go for the Shredder Revenge here, and the reason behind that is you can clear no matter what. But my thinking here is it's so crucial that Life Coach didn't just waste 4 mana last turn. You can go for the Ashvik. It won't be the best, but he's still in this, and he has the Light Bomb as assurance if there is going to be a mystery challenge. But Bran coming down here, yeah, I think this may open some possibilities with the Syncmaster.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the future. I mean, he could use it for utility just to make sure he takes less damage, or he can use it on that turn 8, obviously, to take most of the things in Eloise's deck other than the biggest of minions. Eloise has a decision here whether or not to go for the Blessing of Kings now. Obviously, that Avenge, pretty poor draw for her, unable to play it anytime soon. Also, this Haunted Creeper is a bit of a liability as well because of the potential for Cabal Shadow Priest.
That is true. But the thing is, though, Eloise is running out of steam, and Lifecoach can go for the light bomb next turn. Doesn't look the most appealing, but he knows at least now there's probably going to be no mysterious challenges. So I would be very, very impressed if he does end up going for the light bomb here. It's not necessarily the right play though, in theory, because you will get the 2-drop out of the Pal Sphere, and it will also probably get avenged, potentially even uh, triggered by redemption. But we know that there's only one in Eloise's deck.
Yeah, exactly. And we do see that Eloise played the Paladin Shredder first, and then played the Avenge. So the Paladin Shredder would die before the Avenge goes off, so the Avenge would be able to be activated. So good sequencing there by Eloise, realizing that that could be something, could be a factor in the future. So Life Coach thinking right now whether or not to go for that light bomb, and like you said, would be pretty impressive, especially because you're only facing an Avenged 2-drop. Looks like he's just gonna go for the Holy Nova, but that will make that pile of cheddar pretty big.
Sure will here, but is it going to be enough to close out a whole game, though? I don't know.
On the bright side, it does allow her to play that Avenge, so she can get those cards out of her hand and maybe get some value out of that in the future. I wonder if Life Coach reads into this, though, because I mean, Eloise did use all of her mana last turn, but it did involve using a hero power, so maybe Life Coach could kind of read that, one of the cards was stuck in her hand, but now she's able to play it. Valence
That is
Chosen
true.
not going to be very helpful.
I mean, Lightbomb now seems somewhat less appealing than it did last turn. Cabal seems okay, but yeah, I think this will just come down to does Eloise top deck a big minion? I think if she does, she's looking like she might take this one, but if not, I like Lifecoach's position.
Yeah, definitely. Will be interesting to see how greedy he gets. Obviously, he could go for the light bomb and shut down some of the damage here. It would take off. Let's see. It would take off 4 damage from the board because that Shredder would die, but it would bring back one of the minions via, or would make one of the minions bigger via Avenge, and obviously the Shredder would come back. So actually, it will only take off about 2 damage depending on what comes off the Shredder. So I guess it makes sense not to go for the light bomb in this situation, and does end up just stealing this haunted creeper to get back some board position, but likely going to be taking a lot of damage to the face here.
Yeah, we have to just see where Lifecoach is after the light bomb. That it's absolutely going to be coming down the following turn. The thing is now she can proc the secrets pretty easily and then go for the light bomb after trading into the sweater on top of that. So it looks like he might get a full clear.
Do you throw your? I think you attack with the Cabal Shadow Priest first, correct?
I think you wouldn't. I think you would want to just clear everything.
Because you don't want your spiders dying.
Well, the ones aren't really that important.
Uh-huh.
It's about the health and the potential for a Blessing of Kings on a minion. Because if there's a minion that can attack next to them, might be crucial. So I feel like okay, you are sacrificing 2 spiders, but you're giving, but you're killing the 2-drop that comes out of the sphere instead.
Right. And then it'll guaranteed be able to, you'll be able to deal with whatever spawn comes out. Well, I guess if it's a 2-3 you wouldn't, but that's not really a big deal, not too worrisome. So it is a 2-3, so it will survive this light bomb. I imagine you had to light bomb here.
Yeah,
So
there's no question. Yeah.
so light bomb probably followed by the Shrinkmeister just to get something onto the board and be able to trade there. Can't even use the Valence Chosen for future possibilities, but yeah, there's basically no burst damage in the hand of Eloise, and that's Repentance. Most like that's one of the worst cards that she could possibly draw here, maybe even the worst.
I think the worst, yeah. But still, I mean, Life Coach doesn't have a taunt. As I say that, yeah, I just get trolled. I
Wow,
mean, does he play Bran first though? It only increases the
wow.
attack, but it's impressive that he is playing around Repentance. I'm really impressed by Life Coach here.
Yeah, he's seen so many secrets though, so it's pretty likely at this point. And will we see a Valence on that or not?
I think no question. Yeah, at this point, you can kill the 1/1 and guarantee that it'll stay alive. I mean, also what you have to consider is does he?
Hmm.
I mean,
Good.
the only reasonable scenario that I see Eloise coming back now is with a divine favor, so it would be stronger to have the balance out of your hand.
Right. So, Life Coach kind of playing a bit, you know, risky here because that can get taken out by Blessing of Kings or True Silver, but realizing that he can just heal out of range afterward, if that were the case, it would take, two cards in a row to be able to deal with that. So Life Coach realizing that he wants to keep as many minions onto the board as possible, busts up his Shrinkmeister instead of his Wormist Agent, and now is looking to be in a really good position. Although, strangely enough, that Haunted Creeper is kind of an okay draw for Eloise, considering that it's annoying for Life Coach to get rid of all of these minions.
It's true, yeah, but I mean, if we look at Lifecoach taking this game, this was the auto win for him. He still has to win with the Reno lock, and I think this is not the biggest deal here. I mean, it will give him another chance. We'll take away Eloise's chance to win with the Hunter. So I feel like at this point it's about, can Lifecoach win with his Paladin, and can Eloise win with her Hunter?
How many
Mysterious Challenger comes down, yeah, but there's death to finish that off.
It's gonna draw what, one secret, two secrets? Yeah, she's just gonna give it up. She's dead on board essentially, even if she draws the Noble Sacrifice there. So just gonna give it up. Doesn't even need to play it. And that's going to be a 2-1 lead for Life Coach, able to get that priest out of the way, but still hasn't dodged the question of, can his Paladin get the win here? And going to be pretty difficult, honestly, to have consistent enough draw. Going to need that Reno, particularly against the Hunter.
Yeah, no question. I think it's against Hunter though. You feel often like you need the heal bot, and that's going to be the key. But you even throw away heal bot against Face Hunter. That's how aggressive you need to be. Because if the Hunter has 3 minions on board by turn 3 and is attacking your face, even if you drop a heal bot into a 3 minion board, you'll still just die. If you're taking 8 damage per turn just from the minions, healing for 8 doesn't do anything. So I feel like it's going to be about the Zombie Chow, about the mini bot, and about the Cog Hammer consecrated for Lifecoach.
Does he even run heal bots? We saw that he ran the Turtle for 5 mana that heals for 7 rather than 8. But yeah, it could be the case he doesn't even run it. Obviously, with a 30 card deck, it's hard to keep track of every single last thing there when they show the graphic on screen, but does get the Zombie Chow right away against his Secret Paladin. Obviously not going to be quite as good against Secret Paladin as it would be against Hunter, but still pretty big for him here.
Yeah, I mean, this hand though is just godlike for Lifecoach. He keeps on getting these insane hands. He's been having the Cog Hammer now twice, and well, I guess one of them was Eloise, but the Cog Hammer's played such a big role here in these Paladin games. In the mirror though, this is looking good for Lifecoach, I have to say.
Yeah, definitely. Getting that Zombie Chow, even getting the Consecrate, I think he kept that in his opening hand because obviously there's only going to be one Consecrate in the entire deck. And I mean, we were talking about how inconsistent this deck can be, and obviously lacking some of the answers that other Paladin decks have typically. And the danger obviously is going to be having those very clunky, costly minions in hand, like you see the Karen there. But thus far, Lifecoach dodging that has a really good hand considering what his deck is.
I mean, yeah, Lifecoach's problem is never going to be the late game. It's going to be the early game, and with that Zombie Chow consecrate, I feel like it's almost guaranteed to be good here.
Even the Acolyte of Pain, even if he doesn't have a use for this Elder Peacekeeper next turn.
I mean, preferably you want to keep the Elder Peacekeeper for a Mysterious Challenger, so the Acolyte of Pain is a great addition here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will see if Lifecoach does picks up the equality as well. So now unlikely to even see a Consecrate on 4, even if Eloise plays it, because he has the ultimate reset button in that equality Consecrate. So
I think we're gonna have to see here a rope turn, no question, on which 3-drop he ends up going for. Which one would you go for in this position?
It's pretty close. What you could do is play the Aldor and get a quote-unquote free trade on this Night Juggler, but obviously that's very difficult with the potential Muster for Battle coming up. If you play the Acolyte, it's very difficult for Eloise to play the Knife Juggler there. So I think what he ends up doing after considering all the possibilities is he kills the Knife Juggler with the Zombie Chow, then plays the Acolyte, once he realizes that it comes back, because then the Knife Juggler has to trade into the Acolyte, lest Eloise lest Eloise give him so many cards, but looks like it's not going to be the case. Going to go with the what I originally thought could happen, and it could actually just kill this off right now. Either
This is
play pretty
strong.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, either play pretty good. I guess this play is a bit better than mine as far as tempo is concerned, which is, I mean, tempo in this matchup is everything. So after reconsidering, I think I like Lifecoach's better. Lifecoach's play better than mine.
I think the reason behind that is Lifecoach was figuring, okay, Aldous can be great against Mr. Challenger, but if I have an equality, I don't need to be keeping the Aldor. It's fantastic in this position here. He has the consecrate for the muster. I wonder if he's going to use it now. I think
Yeah,
that
it's
may be okay.
so risky because, that's the one consecrate in your entire deck. You might not be able to ever deal with your opponent's board after this. Guessing mind control tech, so maybe he doesn't even need to consecrate at this moment. So what does Lifecoach do here? He could clear one of these 1/1s with his Zombie Chow, anticipating an event, and then clear the 4/3 with his Aldor, and then play the Acolyte. Or he could maybe just go face and brave the competitive spirit and hopefully, for his sake, that Eloise plays another minion and he can maybe steal it with mind control tech. Looks like he's going for the latter here.
Yeah, that seems to be it. I mean, Lifecoach's been going a bit aggressive, not fearing the quartermaster as he's seen the coin already. Now, could Eloise possibly go for a second muster? And wow, how horrible that would be. I mean, every option here just seems like it will fall. He has to trade. She has to trade at least into the Aldo. I think what I like here is just it's so hard though because the Acolyte will get so much value no matter what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Even if you get an avenge off of it, still giving your opponent potentially 3 cards is really painful. Looks like she's going to go for the Haunted Creeper and Hero Power. I imagine she's going to hit all face. She needs to start getting that damage in. And this leaves an excellent turn for Lifecoach. He can run his Acolyte in and then steal one of his opponent's minions. And guess the Keeper of Oldemon as well. Could that be put to use here?
I feel like a bit later on, not right now. But how is the sequence going to be here? Is he just going to pop into a 1/1 and think that this might be a second redemption? I mean, he probably figures that this is going to be an avenge or a noble sacrifice. I mean, we know now that it's going to be an event, and in that case, it's better to attack with the Aldor first into the Haunted Creeper. But
yeah, he
playing
knows
around
it's either
this being-
redemption or avenge here. So yeah, I think this is exactly the right order. Gets the avenge off and then plays the mind control tech. What is he going to get? Yeah, definitely going to go for that. Gets a 1/1, which is the lower half, obviously, of the options. So nothing too crazy right now. Has the owl, but I doubt he's going to use it in this situation. Probably save
I think
it for
I would
when-
here, but
You would?
that's just
Okay.
my opinion. Yeah, the board state is so fragile right now. If he can get ahead and then equality, whatever comes out after, doesn't look like he looks upset honestly about his choice. He's shaking his head here.
Yeah, I think it's just a really hard decision. I think he just wants to save the owl for something even bigger. Has so many answers though, which is not what you normally see with this Reno Paladin deck. Obviously, it's one of every single card. So being able to find the Keeper of Alderaan, being able to find the Mind Control tech, as well as the Owl and the Call to Consecrate is great for Lifecoach, especially because from now on he's going to be drawing minions.
That is true. Lothep seems like the obvious choice, but it will give the Acolyte the option of the third draw here in a row, and there's no mysterious challenger. Things are looking bleak here for Eloise. I think the Uldaman is everything here for Lifecoach, as it allows him to deal with potentially the Lothep, or he could just go for his Cairn. I mean, he's in no hurry here.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing about the Secret Paladin is that it doesn't have burst damage at all, really. I mean, sometimes you can play a Blessing of Kings or something like that, but typically the way that the Secret Paladin wins the game is just through tempoing your opponent out of the game, and you eventually just get a bunch of damage naturally just by, just being so far ahead of your opponent on board. And sometimes you get, 10 damage off from a Mysterious Challenger or stuff like that. But, no burst damage out of nowhere. So if Lifecoach can just stay relatively even on the board, then he doesn't even need to worry about that.
That is true here. I think I kind of like the Cairn here even. It's doesn't have the best fate against Lothep, but it's still so much present on the board.
Yeah, and even if if Lothar trades into Cairn, that's 5 damage you're not taking to the face, and potentially you can clear it off with a consecrate or maybe one other minion. Looks like he's going to favor the Oldemon, realizing that he has a reset button in his hand. With that quality consecrate in the future. So I mean, he has future options. So just going to play it pretty safe here. Not going to give his opponent the ability to take advantage of his board. And now he has definitely the board lead. And Eloise just so few options right here. Wants to be turn 7 so bad for her, or she wants it to be turn 7 so bad because of that Dr. Boom, but no such luck. Can't top deck the Mysterious Challenger. Only gets the Secret Keeper.
Now, is he afraid of Harrison? And I'm kind of interested to see how she sequences the attack with the weapon. I think that's going to be the main point of this turn. How she's going to use the weapon. I mean, she has to be killing the Acolyte, because it's going to get a trade no matter what. But does he do it with the minion? Does he do it with the weapon? Does he muster first or muster second? It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I think maybe it'd be better to muster second.
Yeah, it could be the case, though. You do get rid of that, pretty potent weapon in the cog. I mean, 2 damage versus 1 damage makes a pretty big difference. Obviously, you don't need the extra charge from that muster for battle or the light assist, but looks like she's going to go for the muster. Is she going to go for the cog hammer as well? I guess the divine shield and taunt doesn't really matter too much in this context. Pretty easily dealt with by Lifecoach with his minions on board. So just going to go for the biggest board possible. 3/1/1s, a Secret Keeper, and finally another hero power. There is the turtle providing him healing, but he doesn't really need it right now. I mean, imagine just play the Dr. Boom out in this situation.
I mean, yeah, at this point, the hero power starts to matter for Eloise, as sad as that is. But, I mean, is there an option just to go for the consecrate here? I mean, does he really need to be saving that? Like, if there's a big minion out, he can just equality and be fine?
Yeah, we haven't had the opportunity to track every single card, but if Lifecoach knows that Eloise doesn't have Quartermaster in her deck, then I don't think there's any reason to use Consecrate here. And it looks like he's not going to. Gonna go for the Dr. Boom, just get as much damage, or much power, excuse me, on the field as possible. And always feels great to have the first Dr. Boom on the field.
That is true here. I mean, Lifecoach going for the aggressive option, and I think it's not a bad one here. I mean, if Eloise is going for her own Dr. Boom, then Lifecoach can potentially just go for the equality and then silence his own Dr. Boom, taking it back to 7 health.
Right.
I think that would be very impressive to see, because he can also go for the consecrate on top of that. We'll see, have to see how the boom bots go, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Could definitely go for that play, but once you go for that play and silence your own Dr. Boom, at that point you're immediately going to. Oh, picks up the big game hunter.
Doesn't even need to at this point. Wow.
Wow. But I was gonna say, if you go for that play, then your Dr. Boom, 7 health and all, is 100% dying to boom bots, but doesn't even need it in this situation. I mean, he could just go all face here, go consecrate and big game hunter, even save the equality. He has so many options right now.
It's all of the everything you could ever need. He has the value in Cairn, he has the removal in both the silence and the equality, he has the consecrate on top of that.
He could even save the consecrate. Again, this is the only consecrate in his deck, so maybe he just plays the Sludge Belcher here.
I think you have to go with the consecrate
Okay.
now. I mean, yeah, like,
right.
She's at 8 health, he'll go down to 7 health. It'll be hard for her just to survive, let alone put any threat to
exactly.
to Lifecoach.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there. He's I think what he was doing is just making sure that his Dr. Boom stayed alive. They're even willing to sacrifice the big game hunter, but that's going to be it. All you Eloise fans, sorry about that. Lifecoach going to take the series 3-1, and he moves on to the semifinals to face Colento. That was an amazing series, very well played by both players, and I would say just very well played by Lifecoach, and I want to say pretty fortunate for him to be able to survive this round with that Reno Paladin. What do you think?
I think so, yeah. I mean, Lifecoach now has his, I guess, quote-unquote best decks out of the way, though. This was the only lineup that he won with in the round of 16 here, and he will face Colento up next, someone who he has faced so many times before in the past. But yeah, now the round of 4 is set. We're gonna have Tom against Jasia, China versus Taiwan. Tom, the Chinese killer here, and then Lifecoach against Colento. What a fantastic round of 4 here.